Tales of Nevada. You're going to really enjoy today's show. We've got Hugh Roy Marshall on set as your host, and I'm sitting in for John O'Brien as we interview someone who's been a host several times, Senator OMER Raines. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, mare at its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle, we're the biker's bike shop.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada, and we want to welcome Hugh Roy Marshall, the host.
Hey there, how you doing, Eddie?
And also our very, very special guest, Senator OMER Raines. Hugh Roy, if you would, tell our listeners exactly why we, right now, when it comes to our viewers all around the world, if you'd be kind enough, tell us why you do Old Tales of Nevada, and also you have some exciting news to share with our listeners.
You betcha. Yeah, well, we do Old Tales of Nevada every week to bring pride to the people that live in Nevada, because a lot of people don't realize the historic importance of Nevada to the world. In the very beginning, the United States, after the Civil War, was totally broke and owed more than what we were rich to France, Germany, and England. And it was the charity of the Comstock miners who got together the $8 to $9 million to pay back that debt to France, Germany, and England through Abraham Lincoln, who was president and also the founder of the Republican Party.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, following this, the other great thing that early in Nevada was the dollar was developed from silver from Virginia City, Nevada, and minted at the Carson City Mint. And the dollar has become the world's international monetary unit for hard money all over the world because of our fantastic country here. So we have a lot to be proud about here in the state of Nevada. And recently, after probably 28 years of work and research, I have found the largest deposit of platinum in the United States at Virginia City, Nevada, in the Comstock ore, which will be a very historic discovery. There are some of these pieces of the platinum ore here. It both occurs as native metal in the granite as well as a black, heavy, thick mineral in the blue clay that the old-timers had such an awful time with because it's sticky, it's blue, and it oozes out black stuff. Well, the black stuff was platinum. They didn't know that. They would have had no use for it. So that's our historic discovery of the year here for the state of Nevada.
That's going to be very exciting for everybody in Nevada.
You betcha. Yeah, it'll give us a reason to try and probably re-support the town.
You know, I tell you, Hugh Roy, it's very, very, very exciting, and I think we're both proud to have Senator OMER Raines on with us today. So, Senator, I've got a surprise for you, okay? We have a local publisher who sent me over not only a comment from her that you're going to love, but also questions from her audience. She had a book review on Back to the Summit, your book, and here's what she wrote, and so I'm not going to miss a single word of it. And this is Jan Hermson over at LaRue Press, and what Jan says is, I know from reading Senator OMER Raines' international best-selling book, Back to the Summit, how one man defied death and paralysis to again lead a full life of service to others. That you were born in 1941 before we entered World War II in a farming community in the Missouri Ozarks, okay, where an area that had no running water and no electricity. And then your family came to California, if I'm not mistaken, and then there you picked cotton, you picked grapes, and did other types of manual labor until you were about age 15. Upon graduating from high school at age 16, you then put yourself through 7 years of undergraduate and graduate work and obtained multiple degrees from the University of California, Berkeley. And that's Jan Hermson at LaRue Press saying it's one of the best books she's ever read.
That's kind of her. Please thank her for me.
Yeah, I will. I'll thank her for you. And I'll tell you, I was really excited because she said that everybody in the class loved your book. They had a couple questions for you, if you don't mind, okay? And I'll start with one. This is Allison. And Allison writes in and says, this is to you, directed to you. Senator Raines, your legislative accomplishments during your years in the Senate are staggering, to put it mildly. Many had lasting influence, not just on California, but on the nation as a whole. Which ones really stand out in your mind?
Difficult question, because there were many. Certainly one was the promotion of women's rights. I carried 68 bills promoting women's rights, and quite unique in the country, many of them to this day. And yeah, I got a lot of credit for that. National Women's Organization for Women saying that I had done more to promote women's rights than any legislator in American history and things of that nature, and I don't know that I deserved it. But certainly a lot of legislation to protect the elderly, children's abuse, protection of the environment, whether it's the beaches or the mountains or the deserts. We have it all in California and Nevada. There aren't many places on earth about which that can be said, and I was really committed and dedicated to that. And I could go on and on about my environmental protection efforts, but also those in the realm of American civil rights. And you know, this is a 3-hour speech.
Well, no, we'll cut it down to 1 hour, but that's phenomenal.
But
that is phenomenal. Yeah,
mainly,
a phenomenal life.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and I don't want to make myself holier than thou, but mainly I represented those who did not have special interest influence, at least not significant special interest influence, especially in those years.
Yeah.
I actually had a sign on my door that if you're here to buy a vote through campaign contributions, do not come in.
Wow.
If you're here to discuss public policy and public policy only, you are invited in to make an appointment. And I meant it. And I kept to that.
We need to send that sign to everybody on Washington, D.C., right? Yeah. That.
You know, people often ask me, what are your thoughts about politics? And my answer, and it's true, I don't regret a second I ever spent in public service. And I'm happy as hell I'm not there today. and both comments are true.
You know what? I love that, because if there's one thing I can say about you, because I know you do a radio show with America Matters Media every week, and that is you always speak the truth and you always have excellent guests on those shows as well. Now, I'm going to read this second one because this is a segue. Now you're not going to be such a hero. This is Derek in that same book review. And Derek writes in and says, you know, I've learned a lot about your successes by Googling you, and I've learned a lot about your successes from Jan Hermson. But, he says, what about legislative failures, term limits, reapportionment, campaign finance reform? Touch on those for us, if you would.
You really did just touch upon my biggest disappointments because, and this irritated my colleagues time after time, I did yearly introduce legislation to take reapportionment or gerrymandering out of the hands of the state legislature because there's an inherent conflict of interest.
Sure.
Definitely.
I mean, they're there to protect their own turf. And the fact is, and not many people realize this, people of Congress don't draw their own crazy lines. It's the state legislatures that do it. There's nothing in the Constitution that says congressmen can do that. So they cozy up to the state legislators. And in California, unlike any other state, the California Senate district encompasses, 1.5 to 2 congressional districts, much larger, much more significant, because, it's the 5th largest economy in the world. We're an independent nation state. And as a result, you have these dragon-like districts, that cherry-pick voters going down streets even. A neighbor may be in one district, another neighbor in another. And that's all due to gerrymandering or reapportionment. And as a result, it's had an incredible bad influence on American politics, because we used to have to look inward, both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, looking toward each other. Why? They had to do that because whoever occupied the center most effectively ordinarily prevailed. Today, the Democrats and the Republicans almost always have a safe district. There are only 15 or 20 congressional districts throughout the 435 throughout the United States are really marginal. Each is a safe one for a particular party. So, if you're a Republican, you're always looking to your right, to the extreme, fearful that you'll get knocked off in a primary. Same with the Democrats to the left. So rather than looking this way, people are looking this way. Mm-hmm. And what a disservice it's done. So
it
you
really
don't have...
Has, my
Hey,
Eddie, I'd like to ask OMER a question.
Sure.
I'm going to have to leave here maybe in a little while. And, Harvey Whittemore was a very good friend of mine, as well as a number of lobbyists in Washington. And I had an attorney there for many years, too, mm-hmm. that represented 28 countries here in the United States. What are your feelings about these guys getting massive amounts of money for lobbying? In other words, that's kind of what you're talking about in a way.
Well, it is, and I'm fairly disgusted by virtually everything I see.
Yeah.
Too many people, Republicans and Democrats, they aren't reading the bills. They aren't. Some of them in the United States, Congress, are 20,000 pages long. And they've got loopholes and exemptions and little sentences in there, and you wonder, what's that all about? Except for blah, 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 and section, and you have to go back and forth figuring out, well, who put this in? And you find out it's a special interest. They don't have a rule of germaneness, so you can throw anything into a bill. At least in California, we had a rule of germaneness. If it was education funding and you wanted to amend it, it had to do with education funding. You couldn't put liquefied natural gas and oil and projects. And
he's hitting on a real major problem in the
tremendous one.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get into line item vetoes and balanced budgets and things that I really believe in. I was a fiscal hawk, very conservative on fiscal matters. And those who preach it today, 9 times out of 10, really don't believe it. I don't care who the president is. I don't care which party controls the House, the Senate. The fact is the deficit keeps going up. It's just a matter of, are we going to increase my favorite things or your favorite things?
Yeah, you got to do something. 20 trillion or whatever. In debt.
We're up to 20 trillion now.
Great question.
Oh, more than what we're worth to Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, and Japan.
Great question, Hugh Roy, and great.
Not to mention the biggest of all by far,
China.
This is Old Tales of Nevada. Great question, Hugh Roy, and a great answer, Senator OMER Raines. We will be right back.
We sure appreciate it.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
The beautiful fall colors are being duplicated in the fall collection of fashions at Boutique Elegante. Sweaters are either in the crayon colors for fall or soft muted shades in bark and beige. For our cold winter days, jackets and vests are the perfect answer. Faux fur and faux leather are the strong fabrics for this season. team them with maxi skirts for a beautiful seasonal look. All of this and so much more at Boutique Elegante.
Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada. I'm really excited right now. Periodic co-host for John O'Brien and Hugh Roy Marshall. We call him Doc Elliott here, Doc Larry Elliott. Doc, if you don't mind, what I'd like you to do is let's dedicate a song to Back to the Summit with our very special guest today, Senator OMER Raines.
And you did climb Mount Everest, right?
A long time ago.
Prior life. It's okay. It's still a big, great climb. Climb every mountain.
Oh, wow.
Ford every stream. Climb every byway till you find your dream. Somewhere over the rainbow, wow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, oh why can't I?
Beautiful, yes sir. You're making the crowd, standing ovation in the crowd right now.
Yes.
A standing ovation, you better believe it.
Well, real quick, I was reading your Wikipedia today, which is, as you can tell by my flowery language, here's a guy with many degrees and everything. By my flowery language, you know that I've had 3 semesters of junior college. But here's a guy that has a statue in Nepal, speaking of high, on the summit there, in front of, doing all that good for libraries and spreading information around. God bless you, buddy.
God bless you. You better believe it.
And he didn't sing about me like Man of La Mancha tilting at windmills, Don Quixote.
I like that.
No.
Stay with us, Doc. That was great. And I'll tell you what, great questions might pop up too as well. But Senator, I'm going to go back to Jan Hermson's book class and book review, if you don't mind. Okay.
Well, we were talking about tilting at windmills and my failures.
Your failures.
The other two, unlike most colleagues, I'm in favor of term limits.
Amen.
Again, did not make me popular amongst my colleagues. The third thing, I'm in favor of campaign finance reform, and that was even before Citizens United, this abominable U.S. Supreme Court decision.
Wow.
I mean, you can spend $100 million to defeat me or elect me, and it's equivalent to Larry's one vote. I mean, this is insane. The Founding Fathers could never have imagined that. I mean, I won't go into that. I could go another 3 hours. So forgive me for the interruption.
No, don't. You interrupt any time you want to. That's why we're here, and that's to learn about Senator OMER Raines and your book, Back to the Summit. But I'll get back to a couple of these classes right now because Desiree, who was also in attendance with Jan Hermson at LaRue Press, said, and this is directed to you, so we know from your book that in 2002 you suffered a massive ruptured brain aneurysm and associated stroke from which you somehow made a miraculous recovery. Explain, if you don't mind, how you did that. Do you know why you suffered the aneurysm and stroke? From Desiree.
First of all I can do is speculate. There was no genetic predisposition of which we are aware. And I was, at the time I was 61, 76 in a week. But be that as it may, in good health, going out with 21-year-olds, I'm kayaking, I'm playing tennis, I'm biking, mountain biking, I'm playing softball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, I did suffer this massive ruptured brain aneurysm and an associated hemorrhagic stroke. I'm in the hospital they perform a surgery never before in the United States, new technique developed in London. This is a series of miracles. By doing so, rather than taking the skull cap off and sewing it back on after clipping the aneurysm, they threaded platinum coils through my groin. You can't even find the incision, up through the heart, through the carotid artery, which gave a sufficient passageway to the brain, and inserted them into those areas of the brain where blood was spilling out and killing brain cells, which is obvious. And so I was in critical condition, near death, for over a month. And eventually, they were already amazed I was learning to communicate and recollect. They didn't understand how that would be possible. But I was carried home in a paralytic state on a gurney, placed in bed, and said I would never walk again. And so the book is about the recovery I made, so that after 1 year to the day, I'm doing mountain biking, I'm playing tennis, I'm doing skiing, things that it's been written up a lot in medical journals. And in Back to the Summit, which has become an international bestseller and indeed printed in other languages now as well, I tell about the recovery I made.
Unbelievable. I mean, the recovery is just phenomenal. I'll get to one more question. This is Harold in also the class, and Harold writes in and says, after recovery, Senator Raines, what did you decide to do? Dedicate life to helping others, like I've read just recently, and also you became the international chair of Read Global. What is that?
Well, after my recovery, to the extent I made one, and it was pretty complete, I decided just to dedicate my entire life to trying to help others.
Wow.
Because I realized that for whatever reason I was so blessed, and that was going to be my responsibility, my charge, and that's what I've tried to do. Mm-hmm. Read Global. READ stands for Rural Education and Development. And I did assume the position of executive director and chairman of the board. I served in that capacity for 8 years until I turned 70, at which time I retired from that, although I kept up my responsibilities. We were working initially in Nepal. This is the time when the Maoist revolution was underway against the monarchists, and both sides were incredibly cruel. We were the only INGO, International Nonprofit Non-Governmental Organization, continuing to do business during that time because of some of the bad experiences that others had caused them to leave. And we were never bothered because people realized that we were not getting involved in politics. We were just there to help people, mainly to educate people. And our idea was to develop libraries, help people learn how to read, because education is the foundation for everything that comes thereafter, and to hopefully make small rural villages viable places to live and work, so it would help prevent the out-migration of people to the big cities with all the various problems that causes, whether it be pollution, air, water, congestion, crime, and so on and so forth. So that was our goal. We did over 50 projects in Nepal alone, way up in the Himalayas, trekking to most of these, down in the Terai, the flatland near India, east, west, north, south. And then in 2004, we gained the attention of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, because they said, how are you doing sustainability? Because we have all these good organizations that we're trying to fund, mainly former Peace Corps volunteers, and it's not working out because they do their good deed, and a year later they come back and say, we need more money. And we told them what our formula was. And it was a simple formula. we didn't go to a village unless we were invited, and we had applications and invitations from all over, in this case, Nepal. And if we do, we say the following: look, we will build a library for you. We will train a librarian staff. We will also provide a minimum of 5,000 books in whatever language you wish. But it's going to be incumbent upon you, as we do our role, to come up with a project, an economic project, a sustainability project, so that at the time we've developed over 1 year, usually, our chore, our responsibility, you will be ready to sustain what we've done on your own. It's the old story of teaching a man how to fish.
Exactly.
Give a man a fish, he eats for a day.
Exactly.
Teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime.
That's right.
Sure.
And as a result, and we monitored it. We just, there were those who were building libraries and moving on, and 6 months later they were all full of graffiti. That was not our plan. We had to become part of the community and stay part of the community. And we did, until we saw that they had accomplished what we set out to accomplish and what they set out to accomplish. And so anyway, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation stepped up and gave us what they called the Access to Learning Award. It was the second one of a 3-year program, and gave funding the likes of which we had never had. But there were conditions, 21 conditions, and because I was the executive director, I had to make sure we met all these milestones.
Sure.
But one condition was that we go into another country. We continue our work in Nepal. We go into a second country, and the following year into a third country. So the second country, we went and challenged the 800-pound gorilla. We went into India with over 1 billion people. And, India both feeds the soul and tears at the heart at the same time. Because, you do see these shining buildings and oases, but they are few and far between. But the vast masses of people live in incredible poverty, even unmatched in most parts of Africa. I mean, I've been to 28 of the 51 nation states of Africa. I've seen poverty in India probably unmatched in the world.
Wow.
Anyway, so that took us into another country, into the country of India. And I guess did you want me to follow up?
No, what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break here on Old Tales of Nevada. When we come back, we'll see if we can get Doc Larry to come in with another tune or two in dedication of the book, Back to the Summit. We'll be right back.
The beautiful fall colors are being duplicated in the fall collection of fashions at Boutique Elegante. Sweaters are either in the crayon colors for fall or soft muted shades in bark and beige. For our cold winter days, jackets and vests are the perfect answer. Faux fur and faux leather are the strong fabrics for this season. Team them with maxi skirts for a beautiful seasonal look. All of this and so much more at Boutique Elegante.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Past Time in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, mare and its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada. Right now, sitting in for Hugh Roy Marshall, as usual, is what we refer to as Doc, Larry Elliott right now. And Larry, if you don't mind, let's dedicate another little tune to our very special guest today, Senator OMER Raines.
Yes, and also to his people in all the small towns that you've done all over the world.
Amen.
Nepal, Africa, and don't forget where you came from, Missouri and Bakersfield.
Amen.
I came here looking for something I couldn't find anywhere else. I ain't trying to be nothing, I'm just trying to be myself. Well, you say that you like me. Well, do you know just how I feel? Or would you sit there and judge me on the streets of Bakersfield?
I love it.
He's a graduate of Bakersfield High.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
They must be proud of you, man.
Well, not many people know that because Ventura's where I came from, really. Ventura's.
I also watched do you remember the lobster trap out there?
Absolutely.
I used to work there playing piano bar.
Wow.
Had a great
Down in
time.
Ventura?
Yeah.
You probably ran into one another from time to time.
It was actually Oxnard.
Oxnard.
They tried to change Oxnard to Channel Islands.
They did.
It didn't stick.
It didn't stick. Yeah.
But we have a Channel Islands College now,
Oh, very good.
and we have a Channel Islands National Park.
Oh, very good.
So the headquarters in Ventura.
Yeah.
Ventura Marina.
You know, Senator, one thing I'd like to ask you, because you explained to our viewers about the READ project, okay? And then you went to India. Why the first READ project in India? Where, how, and how'd you put that together?
You know, it's not at all what I anticipated. I did go there. I anticipated that our first project would probably be in and around the state of Rajasthan, because that's between Delhi and Mumbai, the capital and the major finance center, and it goes right by Agra, the Taj Mahal. And I thought, well, if we were close to there, a lot of people will come and look at our demonstration library. But, you know, I had hired an executive director for what we call READ India. We do a READ Nepal, READ Bhutan, READ India, Indrani Sharma, and a board of directors or trustees for READ India. And they all said, you know, Mr. Raines, before you make a final decision, you really ought to go out to the Sundarbans area. Well, I knew the Sundarbans area, and I said, what? But that's very difficult to get to. I mean, the Sundarbans area is right up Typhoon Alley, crocodile-infested waters, last sanctuary of the ravenous Royal Bengal tigers, the highest incidence of malaria and dengue and yellow fever in the world. And I'm saying, what? And they said, well, I know it sounds insane, but we have gotten, you know, now that people know we're coming into India, over 150 villages are asking you to come, and the far and away best application, best business plan comes from this village called Ullon, U-L-L-O-N. And we are blown away. Well, anyway, I go there. I said, okay, I'll go there. I fly into Kolkata, formerly known as Calcutta. We'll call it Calcutta because most people in America know it as Calcutta. And about a 3-hour drive, and I'm picked up at the airport by the only driver and only vehicle in and around this village. But we finally turn off onto a road, and everything is clean. You don't see that in India anywhere. And I'm saying, where is this? Well, the driver doesn't speak much English, but he understands quite a bit. And he says, Ulan. And I said, oh, this is where we're going. And I'm thinking, everything's green. I see trees lining the road. I think, wow. So anyway, we get there. I'm going to make a long story short. They do show me a business plan. We ask for a business plan always. The villagers' eyes glaze over because they aren't familiar with that concept.
Right.
But they do know what might work in their own area. And they're all different, and they are very good. But we help them develop a business plan. But they showed me a real business plan, and I'm really surprised. And then they show me a model of what they want to build. And I'm looking at it, and it's a big model. And it shows a huge building. And I said, well, we do, 1- and 2-story small structures, usually wooden in nature, often having to take the lumber in or what have you because of deforestation. And this is a big concrete building. I said, where do you get this idea? And they said, well, during the colonial days when England, colonized India, this was their architecture, and their capital was at that time Calcutta. And I said, well, this is a small village. Do you have any architects here? No. Do you have any contractors here? No. How? Yeah. I'm from Missouri, and I'm going to explain to you what that means.
Show me how you're going to do it.
Exactly, because I happen to be, but it doesn't matter. In America, if you say I'm from Missouri, you got to be shown. And they said, give us a chance. And I'm really inspired as I'm there by a man named Kapalan de Mandal. And I had been told this man truly walks in the shoes of Gandhi. And I got the impression that he did, and I was inspired. And I said, look, I don't believe you can do this, but I'm going to give you a chance.
Wow.
Because if you can do it, this can be an inspiration to villages throughout the lesser developed world, impoverished villages, whether it's in India, any parts of Asia, Africa, South America. But here's the deal. I'm going to really monitor this. I make annual visits to this part of the world. I will make a commitment to you that I'm going to come here every year while I'm visiting other villages to see what progress you're making, because I'm skeptical. I'm from Missouri. But if you stay to the task and do what you commit to do, we will stay with you. So anyway, I lived up to that. I came back the following year, and I was blown away by what they were already doing. They asked me to lay the counterstone, basically inaugurating construction.
Beautiful.
I did. I have a background from high school in hod carrying, bricklaying. And we surprised them. Oh, you know how to do this? You know how to use a trowel? I do. And anyway, from there it began to go up. And the following year we were able to inaugurate the library room. It was only one story of this 3-story building that they had in mind, which again, 3 stories, big. And and they'd come up with a more ambitious plan. They wanted to make 4 stories. And I said, what are you going to do? They said, well, we're going to have a solar panel. We don't have electricity here. The government won't bring electricity in. We're going to have a solar panel construction. And we've gotten somebody consulting or advising us how to do it. In one part of what became to be known, the Oceanic Library, I actually named it because they're right there on the Sundarban with over 5,000 islands right off in the Bay of Bengal. And we'll have a honeybee processing plant over here. And we're going to force the government to bring electricity, and we're going to make this such a landmark that people will come here to learn. And hopefully it will cause them to bring electricity into at least this building and maybe elsewhere in this area. Now you've got to, I should say you got to remember, from reading the book you may know that the schools in that area were all segregated. I walked to over 6 of them at the time. They were built by the Brits in the 1850s.
Wow.
Over 150 years ago. They had no books, 0.
0 books in the school?
0.
Wow.
they had a few magazines in dusty, locked cabinets. I actually asked the teachers, why are they locked? Well, the magazines might be stolen. And I remember saying, I'd rather have a child steal a magazine, and read it than not have access to it at all. So that was the environment that I found. Complete poverty, everything I described earlier as far as living conditions, and it was from there that things began to develop, and develop very fast.
Unbelievable. Wasn't there an international conference that was held in that village? And can you tell our viewers all about that here on Old Tales of Nevada?
In 2012, the International Brotherhood Conference was not held in New York City, wasn't held in London, or Paris, or Frankfurt, no, Geneva. No, it was held in a small village in the Sundarbans area of India, the village of Ulan. It had gained international attention because of the transformation that was taking place. By this time, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids were traveling from as far as 50 miles away to access books and learning and the ability to advance in life. And so this international conference was held. 50 nation states came, represented either by ambassadors or general counsels. They would retreat daily to Calcutta in order to overnight because there were no hotels, no living accommodations. I did stay in the village the entire time, and I participated in all the panels on poverty alleviation, job creation, empowerment of women, environmental protection, creation of health. There were 10 millennial goals in the United Nations, and we covered all of them in these various panels. There were a lot of academicians that came, including from America. They were coming from Europe, from America, from other parts of Asia, and elsewhere. And it gained a lot of attention, and a lot of people went back saying, gee, you can't believe what's happening to a little impoverished village, and the way in which it's transforming itself is unmatched anywhere. And that's why the IBC was held, the International Brotherhood Conference. I gave the inaugural address, and we had throwing of doves and playing of national anthems and raising of lots of flags, and it was quite an extraordinary experience. It really was for a little village. So that's why the International Brotherhood Conference was held, and as a result of that, a lot of the academicians stayed for a while or came back. Good example, there was a professor from the University of Michigan. He had an aquaponics program that he wanted to introduce in Mumbai, India, and in Lagos, Nigeria. And after
aquaponics, is that growing without dirt? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Water.
Like they do on the space station.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Shoot, there's 3 semesters of junior college.
Just wiped it out. That's better than 6 years at University of Florida.
Oh, is it really?
to get out of a freshman class.
That's right.
So, anyway, that was happening. That type of thing was happening. He set up that initial program there in that little tiny community. He later did Lagos. He later did Delhi and Mumbai and other parts of the and other parts of the world.
Listeners and viewers, I got to tell you right now, this is Old Tales of Nevada, and Doc Larry Elliott and I are having fun as we interview Senator OMER Raines. We will be right back.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, mare and its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City, or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula. Our family would like to invite your family to Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Crafts Show and Sale. We'll have raffles and fun prizes. Find treasures for the whole family. This weekend at the Reno Livestock Event Center. Come join us.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada as Doc Larry Elliott and I interview our very special guest, Senator OMER Raines. But first, like we've done in every segment, let's kick it off with a song, Doc.
There it is, and Born in September, if this show is in October too. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Omar. You look like you're 52.
I love that.
Yeah, in the book there's a great picture of his grandfather, 95 years old. You guys have got the genes,
Yeah, they do.
The young person genes, the survival, He looked like he had a sense of humor, too. Do you have a sense of humor?
I hope so. If you turned me inside out, I'd look 176.
That was great. That was great. As a matter of fact, we have a birthday coming up here in about a week, remember. But, Larry, you brought up something that I'd like to touch on just really, if you don't mind, Senator Raines. I'd like you to touch on because you mentioned that bronze statue, okay? And I learned just recently.
Is it bronze or is it just... What they make? Have you seen the statue? I mean,
he was there for the ceremony.
To see a statue of yourself.
Yeah, and ready? He wishes he was 15 feet tall, right?
Yes.
But he actually, listen to this. Tell me, am I wrong? But did you not tell me that they actually ask you for measurements of your fingers and everything so that they would make it as lifelike as possible?
Wow.
They did, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Statues right there next to Gandhi, and and it's just amazing to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But Senator, tell us if you don't mind, okay, about you had some visitations from some very special guests too from the U.S. and also to the U.S. right? Like Mondale.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mean South Africa?
Yes, South Africa.
Absolutely. In fact, my puppy's named after him.
Mandela.
That's right. No, in late 1991, I was really privileged to be invited by both the outgoing de Klerk administration and the incoming ANC administration headed by Nelson Mandela, who had been released from Robben Island, to come to South Africa to consult for the Constitutional Revision Commission that was being developed. And I did. I was there 6 weeks, and during that time I did meet twice personally with Nelson Mandela, and I knew...
What was he like? Did he have a sense of humor?
He did, and I found it extraordinary, and I think everyone in the world does, that after 27 years of imprisonment, he came out with charity and forgiveness in his heart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing story. 200 years from now, assuming the world is still around, people will be able to say Mandela, and people will know to whom the reference is made. How many people can that be said about? Very few during my lifetime.
Right. Senator, think about that for a minute. Almost 3 decades behind bars, and then he's released from prison, and less than a year later becomes president of his nation.
Yes.
Unbelievable. I understand you've got a Mandela at home now, too.
I have a new puppy, a Rhodesian Ridgeback, that I named Mandela.
I love that. Okay. And would you describe, I mentioned to our viewers here on Old Tales of Nevada, but please describe that ceremony, because the pomp and circumstance was phenomenal.
Well, it was the most humbling experience of my life. There was the raising of flags, and it was bad weather outside, but thousands of people were there. They raised the American flag, the Indian flag, sang the national anthems of each one, and they unveiled the statue. And thereafter, we went inside. The puja was held, or lighting of the candles, and then various gifts were presented, including a book that had been a book of mine that they had printed in India by a publisher there. It's now being printed. This is in English. I understand it's being printed now in Bengali and Urdu and Hindi as well.
Urdu's Pakistani, right?
Well, it's actually more people in India speak it than Pakistan, but,
really?
But it is the national language of Pakistan.
Okay.
And but the really educated in India often learn Urdu as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there were lots of garlands and gifts and speeches, and they went on. And then that night, there was dining and dancing. This went on for about 12 hours.
It was kind of a microcosm of your whole life, right? There's a storm outside, and yet there's a party going on inside.
Amen.
Yeah. with a lot of fraternal exchange of
And at night, thank God, the storm had passed.
Oh, sure. I hope so.
And because it was back outside.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very humbling experience, and I was accompanied by certain members of my family. And very moving. I did not deserve it. Did not. The great inspirational leader that accomplished so much was this man, Kapalanda Mandal.
Mm-hmm.
He is a humble man, the most humble man I've ever met.
Wow.
He's like a brother to me. And we actually brought him in 2013 to the United States, where he spoke to numerous American colleges, MIT and Harvard and Tufts, the University of Chicago and Purdue and Indiana State, and we brought him all the way out here to Nevada.
Wow.
To Sierra Nevada College.
Did you really?
Right here.
Wow.
The only private college in Nevada. And he spoke there, and he was a guest of mine for 4 days. And before going back to India, he went and spoke at the United Nations, where he was given a special consultative status for community planning, job creation, and empowerment of women. And it has become, as in my wildest dream, I hope might happen, an inspiration to villages throughout the lesser developed world.
Mm-hmm.
People flock there today to see the transformation, because there is nowhere in the lesser developed world that a village has undergone that type of transformation. You went there today, you'd see roads, you'd see electricity.
Wow.
I mean, at night, the Oceanic Library, which also during that period, and this was part of the ceremony, we inaugurated within what we call the Oceanic Library, Nevadita College, a college offering education degrees certified by the government of India, and the following year, computer technology, computers brought in by the Gates Foundation. And it's called, I selected the name Nevadita. You may not be familiar with it, but Nevadita, when Swami Vivekananda came, long before Yogananda, long before Maharishi, this is, 200 years ago, to the States and to Europe, he was the first of the Eastern practitioners.
What was the name again?
Navadita.
That's such a musical lilt to it.
That's right.
Swami Vivekananda.
That's great.
Yeah, it is.
VSSU is, Vivekananda Shishu, Yojan, Ujan. So that's why they say VSSU. But be that as it may, It's an incredible story. This lady, Devadita, was actually Irish. She came as a devotee of Swami Vivekananda to India, and this was long before Mother Teresa, but in Calcutta started doing the same type of work that Mother Teresa did.
Wow.
But Mother Teresa is world famous because she lived in an information age.
Yes.
And Nevadita was before. So anyway, I gave the name Nevadita to the college. So it's the Nevadita College housed in the Oceanic Library, this huge edifice, which now has conferences going on and international lectures and a place for academicians. And again, this is I hope that the overlay shows the way this village was when I came there in 2006, because you're going to say, what, in 10 years?
Unbelievable.
And it is a 10-year story.
Well, that's got to warm the cockles.
Oh, mine.
It does mine too, Larry.
All of us try to make a little difference in our lives in some small way. Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
But boy,
So I get requests now, over 10 in number, of villages from Burkina Faso, from Cambodia, from Myanmar, from you name it, places all over the world asking if I'll come and help. And of course, I'm one person.
Sure.
But I'm working closely with VSSU. We now have reached out to 712 villages.
Wow.
In India.
Unbelievable.
Trying to help and doing help. And again, inspired mainly by the leadership of this man, Kapalanda Mandal, and the microfinance patterned after Grameen Bank that they developed as part of their sustainability program, which is one of the best in India, no doubt, and there are over 10,000.
So 712 reach outs. Is there like a percentage? What kind of responses do you get from like the village elders and stuff?
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I write in the book about some countries where I've been that where it was pretty hostile, And,
sure.
Yeah,
I read
especially,
that.
Well, people are people.
Especially, in Pakistan when I was up in the Taliban country. But never once in India. As I say, it may tear at the heart because of the poverty and lack of clean water and conditions, but it also feeds the soul. Yeah. It absolutely feeds the soul. 5,000 years.
Unbelievable. Larry, before we ask what's in the future for Senator OMER Raines, I want to ask OMER another thing. Earlier in today's show, you heard Hugh Roy Marshall mention that this book, Back to the Summit, should be in the waiting rooms of every hospital in the nation because of the hope that you'll find in the pages in your book right here. It is perhaps one of the most inspirational and phenomenal books, OMER, that I have ever read in my entire life. And I'm not kidding you. It belongs in every waiting room of every single hospital. How can people get a hold of the book?
Well, the easiest way is to go on Amazon because it's in hardcover, it's in paperback, it's in e-edition or Kindle. There's an audio in which I myself do the narration. It's readily available, most readily available in that fashion. But you can also go to your local bookstore if you'd prefer. Or we have www.senatoraines.com. You'll learn about it. Or www.backtothesummit.com. There are various websites that refer to it. And it's found, there are references to it in a lot of medical journals now as well.
Amen. Larry, I got to thank you for joining me today when Hugh Roy took off. And
always a pleasure, Eddie.
I want to thank you, OMER, for being our very, very special guest. And I also want to thank you for having the most popular talk show with America Matters Media every Friday at high noon.
What are those call letters again, Eddie?
Yeah. Ready? KCKQ 1180 AM or worldwide on americamatters.us. Thanks, Senator Raines, for being our special guest today.
Thank you.
Old Tales of Nevada.